Welcome back to The Drift. With us again, Clint Allen, Towboat US Captain, and he knows all about this subject today.
Oh, yeah.
Boat ramp etiquette. We've seen it. We see it all over social media. We'll get to the fact that I can't see how brand new F-350s end up in the water. But let's first talk about the etiquette of the boat ramp. There are people who take their lawn chairs out. They don't own boats, but they take the lawn chairs out and they go to the marina or the ramp just to watch people try to launch their boat.
Mm-hmm.
Go. What do you think? What do you see mainly as the issue?
Just people not being considerate of other people. We'll start with that. If you try to be considerate, you wouldn't do, if you thought about being considerate, you wouldn't do the things that people do. It's just.
So inconsiderate would be you pull up to the ramp, you get your family with you, you prepare to back down the ramp, get right on the ramp, and that's where you take your straps off, load the family into the boat, load the coolers into the boat, load the fishing poles into the boat, and you blocky the ramp, right? Number one.
Yeah, you got to think of other people,
Right.
especially look around. If you see three other boats behind you, well, they want to do the same thing you're doing,
right?
And let's try to make everybody flow right through it. I went to the ramp the other day, and it wasn't a busy day. Parking lot was
just for fun, right?
Almost empty. Yeah, we were going to change the oil on the boat.
Okay.
So I need to haul it out and change the oil, and this fella's got his trailer in the water. And I don't see any boat around, nowhere.
Yeah.
Another fella backed his, but it was a 2-lane ramp. And the other fella backed his boat in, and no problem. So I see the guy, and I put my hands, said, "What are you doing?" I said, he waves to me, So I'm waiting. The other guy finishes. I back in that side now. So now I'm side by side with him. I said, "Cap, what are you doing?" "Well, I'm waiting for my buddy here." I said, "Well, you didn't see me waiting." I said, "Well, how long are you going to wait here?" I said, "I don't see a boat anywhere." "Well, he's coming from down the road."
Yeah, right.
It didn't faze him one bit that he was holding that whole lane up. And when I even questioned him on it, "What are you doing?" "Oh, waiting for my buddy." I was like, what?
Yeah.
No consideration whatsoever. It
know,
blew my mind.
Where we boat up in New England, most ramps aren't congested. We're on Buzzards Bay. You're on Ocean. So, you might have 3 or 4 guys in line. But in some areas, on lakes in particular, there could be 20, 25, 30 boats ready to put in.
Right.
And if it takes a guy 2 hours to put in, that's 2 hours off his beautiful Saturday, right?
Yeah.
And it can get really ugly, as we've seen on social media now. Now that social media is blown up, you see these incidents. And people say, well, there are so many more incidents now. Well, I just think it's because social media is such that you see what's going on at these ramps. And it comes to fisticuffs.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's always been going on.
Right,
now,
exactly.
Now it's, like you said, it's front and center with the social media.
So proper etiquette. If you, given all the years that you've been around boat ramps, you've been on a boat, you've had a boat, and you've been in the boating business, what do you think is like the top 5 boat ramp etiquette points? Number 1 would be?
I think just not preparing your boat in the parking lot. So if you have your cooler and the back of your truck and your beach bags and beach toys or in a tube or whatever, that should all be put in the boat, not making the next person wait.
Right.
Already prepared, ready to go. So you take your turn, it's your cue, you pull up into the line and back your boat in.
Right.
All you have to do is release the straps at that point and go.
So that's number 1. Don't block the ramp. Be smart about that. How about when you're pulling out?
It's the same thing when you're pulling out. You get your trailer, you put your boat, if you're single-handed, depends. My wife and I used to work together, so she could back the trailer down. She'd bring I'd drop her off at the thing, she'd get the trailer, back it into the water, and I'd drive the boat on. Or she could drive the boat on, and I'd bring the trailer down. We were a team. But it was choreographed. It was fast. It was practiced.
Well, you see the guys that when they're pulling out and they're hauling out, they hook the boat. Then they pull up maybe 20 feet and they block the ramp. Then they get out and they pull their plug and they strap the boat there blocking the ramp. But what always amazes me is they look and they're like 5 or 6 or 10 guys lined up just looking at them
Yeah.
like, what are
And
you
I don't
doing?
think anybody does it on purpose.
Well, some people just don't care. They
They don't
hey,
care.
whatever,
Right.
I'll
Yeah.
do it when I do
And
it.
if you toot the horn at them or give them a little toot, you're right.
Yeah.
It doesn't change their attitude.
And that could turn ugly quick.
Yeah, and it's just, again, man, this world's a funny world. Everybody, it's a me, and
Yeah.
you don't care about your neighbor anymore.
Mhm.
That's kind of gone, But I always try to be courteous and fast and wave someone on. Go ahead, go
Right.
ahead, go. And
Yeah.
what does it matter? You're gonna
Guy's got a small boat,
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah,
and he's going to be able to pop it in and out.
right.
And then there should be number 2 might be, in my view, backing lessons.
Mhm.
Practice somewhere else.
Right.
Practice backing a boat trailer.
Yeah. I've helped people at the
You know.
ramp.
Are you the
just
guy,
to-
the smaller? Have you seen when they just kind of lift the trailer up?
Well, no, I'll just get
And
in and
we
say, hey,
don't-
Cap, you
I
want me
got
to
it
back
for you.
that in for you? You know what I mean? And if there's not a
Boy, that
crowd,
ruins a guy's day.
well, but I was just saying, if there's not a crowd around,
Let me get that for you.
Right, they're more apt to accept your help when there's
Right.
not a crowd around. But if there's a crowd around, then I can do it. Well, no,
Yeah.
you can't because you have this thing jackknifed and everything else. Hey, and listen, man,
It's not easy to do.
I couldn't back a trailer down the very first time I tried to.
Right.
It takes a lot of practice. But like you said, practice in the Walmart parking lot or something.
Right. Take your boat trailer out and practice backing.
And try to get proficient at everything you do. And again, you're a beginner boater. Nobody
Mhm.
expects you to be like a NASCAR crew in
Right.
10 seconds have your
Right.
boat. But that being said, do a little bit of practice. Watch other people, observe how professionals do it, or a guy that's always
Ask
using
for
his
help.
boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was at a ramp near my house, and we were coming off our boat. We were tied up over in Mattapoisett, walking down the dock, and we saw the wife the woman had the boat backed up, the trailer backed up, and the guy was backing the boat, trying to get the boat off the trailer. He got the boat off the trailer, and I don't know how he did it, but he did a 360. His bow clipped another boat that was tied up to the dock, the transient dock.
Mm-hmm.
And the harbor master happened to be there. So he walked over and talked to the wife about it. And I overheard the wife say, yeah, he's new at this. He doesn't really know what he's doing. And the husband or the guy was in the boat, and that prompted a visit from the harbor master. And the harbor master was very cool. He said to the guy, look, do you need some help? We're going to have to get your information, obviously, because whether you're new at this or not, you damaged another boat.
Right.
And he gave him some tips on how he should handle that ramp and how he should approach the ramp and how you should take a boat off the trailer. But things you don't want your wife to say to the harbor master when something like that happens.
We get it all the time when we're putting a boat on in a slip or on a trailer.
Yeah.
When you're broken down, we'll put you right on your trailer. And I've had, you don't know how many wives have said that to me. Gee, you put it on the trailer better than he does.
Yeah, great.
It's like,
Thanks.
I'm sure that's what he wanted to hear.
Especially when you're broken down and you got, towboats getting you
Yeah.
ruined, you get some repairs ahead of you. You need that. What
Well,
would you give as a tip on backing a trailer? I've heard hold the wheel at the bottom and do this and do small moves with the wheel as opposed to trying to oversteer as you back.
So I've always been the guy that looks through.
Oh,
my
you're
rear
that
view
guy.
window. Yeah. But
right.
I can back a trailer in. I've been doing it for years.
Right.
So I'm an expert at it. But funny story. I bought a cargo trailer for my salvage equipment, and it's wider than my mirrors, so I can't look in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm horrible. Well, you can't look back because it's a
Right.
cargo trailer. It's not like a boat.
Yeah.
So I can't see
Blocking
anything. And my buddy's with me, he works for me, and he says, use your mirrors. And I'm like, I don't even know how to back this thing up with the mirrors. So again, it's practice.
And the smaller the trailer, the more difficult, right?
What's that? Yes.
The
that's
smaller
right.
trailer, smaller tongue can be
They
difficult.
start real quickly. They get out of shape,
Mm-hmm.
So now I've practiced, and I can use my mirrors as well to go back and forth. But I've always been the guy that looks through the back
So
window.
small adjustments.
Yeah.
Don't overcompensate.
Yep.
Stop if you're jackknifing.
And you have to
Obviously.
know which way the wheel goes.
Right.
So once you learn, which
Yeah.
I personally go on the top of the wheel,
Okay.
and you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
as long as you know which way turning to the left is going to do or turning to the right is going to do, if you know what the reaction is going to be on the trailer, and once you get that,
And I will tell you, I've done it plenty. I feel like I'm pretty good at it. But I will tell you, when there are 10 people lined up
Pressure's
and the
on.
pressure's on, that is
Yeah.
there's no more anxiety in boating
Yeah.
than backing
Yeah.
your trailer down a
Yeah,
ramp.
you know it's awful when you do see someone that
Yeah.
just can't do it. They don't have the concept of whatever, they can't
It's
figure
that
it out.
little meme that's been on the internet. We'll back your trailer for beer, or we'll back your trailer for $5.
Right, and it's got to be, it's obviously, like you said, you got 3 or 4 other guys waiting, and
Yeah.
every time you you turn, it's the wrong
Oh,
way.
it sucks.
It's just awful.
And then you seem to do it more.
Yeah, yeah,
Like-
right. That's what I'm saying. The pressure's on now.
Yeah.
Now I'm really screwing up.
And you know what helps, I think? Some people say, "Oh, I can't believe you have those things as your boat trailer." The PVC pipes on the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
In many ways, I feel like they help backing. They help
Mhm.
loading. You know where your trailer
Oh,
is.
yeah,
It gives you a target.
Yeah.
But the hardcore guys,
You
boy, you're
lose
not going to
vision.
find them with those.
When you go down the ramp without those guideposts, you lose vision of your trailer
Right.
momentarily.
Goes- depending on the tide, and you don't
as
see the
you're
boat.
going down, and
right.
all it takes is momentarily to be out of shape. So
Okay.
yeah, I like those guideposts. You're right. You can see them at all
You see
times as it's going down the grade.
Yep.
So
So, as we see on social media all over the place, these guys that we had one of our highest views is a video of a guy who sunk a Range Rover in Florida, backing a boat trailer down. And how the hell does that happen? I don't for the life of me, I don't see how that happens.
yeah, I don't know. I guess
You put it in park, you set your brake.
yeah. I
Right?
think that's the part that they don't set the brake. There's a hell of a load so my Ford truck. I used to have a Ford. I have GMC now,
Mhm.
but I used to have a Ford.
Is that an endorsement or?
Well, I don't know. So
Because I'll take GMC as a
the
sponsor of the
Fords were
draft.
notorious when
Yeah.
you have them in park with a load on
It'll
it.
slip out.
No, to go from park to drive, it was
Mhm.
like a horrendous, big crunching noise.
Okay.
So with the weight on now, I'm talking about with a boat on the trailer. So twice I've broke that shifting mechanism inside the steering wheel,
Mm-hmm.
and disabled at that point. Things broke. So I don't know if that is what happens, that dog that holds it in park breaks,
Right.
and the truck goes in because you didn't have your brake. I'm always put my emergency brake on, but I think that's what happens. That dog that holds the truck in park breaks, and
I've been with plenty of guys. You say, why put the e-brake on?
Oh,
Put
I
it in
always
park.
do.
And,
always,
Right.
yeah,
and some ramps, the newer ramps now are corrugated concrete.
Mhm.
There's some friction there. But if
Yeah.
you get on a straight concrete ramp and it's wet, seaweed,
especially
Algae,
down at lower tides when that
whatever,
algae
on low
is,
tide,
yeah.
you could slip back and in.
You should have I have a four-wheel drive.
Mhm.
I don't think that it's absolute necessity. I don't believe so. But if you have a larger boat, I think larger than 25 foot,
Right.
you really do need
Well,
a
now,
four-wheel
yeah, because
drive.
now to pull up the ramp,
Mhm.
depending on the tide, you got to engage the four-wheel drive and really give that
Right.
thing go. You start slipping and sliding,
Mhm.
the boat could take you, you
Yeah.
know, and with
Yeah,
you.
I always put mine in four-wheel drive. Not that I always need it. It seems
Right.
like it can go up without it, but I put it in just for that reason, that you don't want to start spinning your wheels or any of that stuff. I see a lot of SUVs. Everybody has an SUV nowadays, but they're not really rated to pull like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
not really rated to be pulling a 28-foot boat up.
Well, we've
up
seen
a
plenty
ramp.
of those too. The guys pulling the 20-foot boats in the smaller SUVs or
Yeah.
cars and go, what are you
Right.
thinking about?
Right.
You
Right.
know, shouldn't go that way.
No, yeah, and on the steep incline, it's difficult. You need
Right.
some horsepower,
Yep.
So, but if that's all you own, I guess again you can still practice and get the etiquette down, and
Mhm.
and the skill level.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what vehicle you have. I saw recently a guy had a twin jet skis set up, and he had a 7 Series BMW. And I didn't actually see the car go in the water, but I arrived like moments. It was still bubbling when I got
Are
there.
you kidding
The
me?
car went right in, the whole car. I don't know what he did or how he did it, but it was like a 7 Series BMW.
You know, one of the clips that we've had on the Drifts social play is a guy down in Florida. I think I don't know why all these videos seem to come from Florida, but this is a guy. This is a guy down in Florida, and he his buddy's truck started to slip back and went in with the boat, and this guy never stopped taping. And he was just laughing his ass off the whole time while he was. And here's his buddy, like literally,
my friend, right,
swimming out of the window of the truck, and he's like, "Dude, you gotta get out! Let it go!" And the truck with the boat, I don't know if the boat was still tied to the trailer. It may have been hooked to the trailer.
Yeah,
was just floating away. I mean, that's going to be.
I saw that.
How do you explain that when some people say, well, they're probably insurance jobs? I don't know. You might want to check your policy and see if that's covered by your insurance company. If you're looking to insurance out your vehicle and, you know, fraud the insurance company, I don't know if I want to go that way.
I think there's better ways to defraud.
Yeah, there might be. So how about a tip for getting your boat on the trail? Like the one question that's asked all the time is, how far back should I go? So I back my trailer, but should I go all? You see, there's some guys go all the way back. They dunk their rear wheels. You know what I mean? Should you be dunking? Should you putting your vehicle's wheels in the water, or is that not necessary?
Like anything else, you've got to learn. So if you have a brand new boat, brand new to you,
sure.
The first time you launch it or haul it out, it's an experience. But you got to observe what level. So I know on all of my boats exactly how far to put the trailer in. So I just want the fenders covered on one boat. My other boat, maybe the fender needs to be covered this much, 3 or 4 inches of water.
The trailer fenders.
The trailer fenders I'm talking about, right. So if you get a visual on where that boat needs to be the next time you launch, that's where you put it into. You know, you can't just randomly put it in the water.
Right.
And I find a lot of people, when we tow a boat broken down, and I'll tell the gentleman as we bring him to the ramp, okay, go get your trailer and just put it in just like you normally do.
Right.
You don't have, nothing's different because I'm towing you.
And you're on the hip usually when you bring them on?
And I'm beside him, and I'm just going to put him right on the trailer. So put it on like you. I'm going to put it on, but you put the trailer in the water just like you normally would, the depth that you normally do it. Because if it's too deep, what happens is you get the boat up to the yoke of the crank.
Yep, and it's not.
But the back's floating because it's way too high. You know what I mean? So there's a sweet spot, and it can't be too low, it can't be too high in the water.
So if you have two hands, one person's in the boat, the other is at the trailer, ready to crank on. Should you come in hard and hot? Should you come in nice and slow? Should you tilt your engine up a little bit depending on the ramp, right? You can't have your engine straight down because you could bottom the engine out.
Usually the ramps are deep enough to go right onto the trailer.
So give it a little power.
A lot of them discourage that. They don't. I guess they don't want you powering on. Some actually have signs.
They want you to crank it on. They don't want to build algae disruption.
And it deteriorates down at the end, and erosion because of the powering of, and then it builds a hump at one of the ramps in Fairhaven where I use quite frequently. They've dredged it out now, but there used to be a big hump of, it was only silt and mud and sand, but you'd come in at low tide and you could actually see the big hump that was there, and that was from powering on, and that's why the towns frown on it.
So if you don't power on, you've got to crank it on. Right,
but you can just perfectly time it, just enough momentum to get you up into the where you're not going to float off. Once you're into the V, I guess, of the front V of the trailer, and then you might need 3-4 more feet. You get the strap on and crank it up.
Strap it on.
Yeah. The most important thing is having your trailer at the right depth. Right. And once you learn the depth,
so just over the fenders.
Right. Well, that's on my
your
particular
boat. Your
boat.
setup.
Yours may be different, but once you know, gee, that worked out really well, always put your trailer in at that depth. whatever the depth may be for your particular rig, you know. But that's important. Always, never, always different. You see people one day they do it this way, the next day they do it another, and that's what causes heartache. You know,
All right.
geez, the thing won't go on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, it's because you don't have the trailer deep enough, or you have
Yeah.
the trailer too deep. So there is a learning curve.
Many
but-
a divorce
Yeah.
comes from
and
a,
of course, it's mama's
Well,
fault. Yeah,
yeah, of
Jesus,
course.
What are
You know,
doing?
what are you doing?
Right, I told you not to do that.
right.
My
So-
wife's an expert.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
been
right.
boating as long as me, and
Yeah.
she can handle a boat. She can handle.
Glenn,
a
you have to
trailer.
say that. You're on television.
No, man.
No, come on.
I tell you, she's good. She's good, and that's you should have.
It's good to have.
Don't just have your wife as a passerby. Make her work. I'm smart. See?
That's what it's
No,
about.
she's good, and
She's
she
a great mate.
understands what's going on, and we don't do much yelling at each other because we're, well-oiled machine,
Yeah.
I suppose.
So what about if you're single-handed?
Single-handed's a little bit different, but nothing changes. So you're gonna dock your boat, go
Mhm.
up, get your trailer as quickly as you can. Again,
Right.
if there's a crowd of people.
Yep.
So your first opening. That's another thing. I'll back up a bit because I've seen it happen. There'll be 3 or 4 people waiting, milling around in their boats, waiting.
Yeah.
So it's no different than
Yeah.
next in line at a donut shop.
Right.
You're next. So I've seen it happen before that have causes fights. There's 3 boats waiting to get to the dock, and you're first, he's second,
Yeah.
and I'm third. And then somebody will come milling in and cut
Jump
right in
in.
front of everybody.
Yeah, that's never good.
And that's not good either. So again, use etiquette. Who's next.
Mm-hmm.
If you pull up and there's 3 boats where you're not sure who's really next, but you
Yeah.
certainly know you're fourth.
And as
Because
long
there's
as
already 3 boats.
I find, as long as you're moving, like it's the guy who's taking his time, like I said, backs the trailer up, then takes his time, gets the cooler out of the truck. When there are people waiting, you go,
Right.
you
Right.
get incensed by that. So single-handedly, tie up your boat to the dock,
Mhm.
go get your truck and trailer, car and trailer, back it down. Then
Right.
what?
Same
Set the
thing.
e-brake.
So now you got to get back onto the boat.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your trailer set at the
Yep.
depth that you always put it at. I just power mine right on. As I said, once you get it close,
So what holds the boat? You power on.
Well, because in the front of the trailer, there's typically a V
Yep.
that will hold a V-shaped
Mhm.
whatever it may be with the carpet on it.
Right.
Once your bow of your boat gets into that, and the other big thing I like is the poles.
Yeah.
We talked about them, the guide
Yeah.
poles.
They're good.
So now your stern's not going to go anywhere, even with wind. Your
Mhm.
bow's in hot enough that you're not going to float off. Then you got to either jump down off the bow, clip onto your thing.
So
Crank
what?
it up.
So with your engine in drive?
No, you don't need to. You don't need to because, well, as I said, once you
It's
get
up
it,
there.
once
It's
you
in.
get it in
It's
position,
in the cradle.
right in the cradle, exactly.
Right.
You've only got 2 or 3 feet to go.
Right.
Some guys do it so skillfully that they'll bring it right up to the roller in
Mhm.
front of the trailer.
Yep.
Right up to it.
Yeah.
And they basically just hook the
Hook
thing
it.
in, a couple cranks,
Bingo.
and it's tight.
Yeah. It's. I'm always impressed when I see those guys that do it all the time. And
Right,
it
but
just-
they're well skilled, and
Yeah.
a lot of them are single-handed. The commercial fishing guys, they
Mhm.
go out a lot alone,
right.
and it's time is money to them. They need to get their fish to the market to sell it, or the commercial guys are the ones that are
Yeah.
really, really skillful. But they're doing it 3, 4, 5 times a week.
Right.
So
Yeah. So the goal is to stay off of. You don't want to be featured on Facebook or on
Right.
social media or anywhere.
your safety chain's a big, big thing. You gotta
Safety
remember
chains.
to put the little safety
The little
on.
hook, not only the crank. And talk about straps real quick. So many people don't strap.
Yeah.
They think I'm just going down the road or
Right.
whatever. You should strap the boat to the trailer, and then
Straps are important.
safety chains, trailer to vehicle, obviously.
That's the
and check
most
your
important,
lights
though, is
and
the
all
chain
that.
that goes underneath the strap.
Yeah,
Because those straps, for the sun, really deteriorates them. The UV of the sun, those nylon straps, they don't last forever.
okay.
And the sun beats up on them, and they can pot. And when they break, if you don't have your safety chain on, I've seen trailers fall right off at the ramp. The boat fall right off the trailer. The guy will pull up the ramp, and the strap will break. and he didn't have the
And
safety
then
hook
there
on
it goes.
Yeah.
Boat comes off the trailer,
Yeah.
sitting on the ramp. That's
Yeah.
not good.
No.
Yeah.
No.
All right, Clint. So here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're going to set up a trailer backing seminar.
Mhm.
What do you think? $100 a head? What do we get? $50 a head? I am serious. People would come down
Hey, right.
and pay for
Yeah.
people new to boating for
Yeah.
those tips on how to back
Yeah.
them. You know, they have it for motorcycle riding, right? Before you get your motorcycle license, you have to go to a little motorcycle
Right.
school and learn how to ride.
Through the
I think
cones,
of
yeah.
backing a trailer seminar. Maybe we won't charge. You'll do it out of the good of your heart.
Yeah. You know, that'd be a good thing. I think the
Wouldn't
West
it?
Marine, they used to do a lot of stuff. They haven't been doing them lately, but they used to do little seminars like that.
Well, you know, I was talking to them about that, and they're looking for people to handle boating safety courses in regions.
Yeah.
And in areas.
Yeah.
So like somebody in Fairhaven and New Bedford
yeah.
to teach boating safety. They have to be a captain,
Right.
but they're looking to get those programs going.
Yeah, no, they used to do a lot of seminars
Yeah.
back maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Somehow or another, they don't do them as frequently as they used to. But I used to go to all of them and help out, put my little table up there and sell our memberships,
Right.
or tout our memberships. But that's a good thing because they have a big enough parking lot. You could put a couple cones up there and maneuver that trailer through, you know. So I think it'd be a good for beginners for sure.
All right,
and
Clint?
everybody,
Yeah.
for that matter. You know? Yeah.
Great tips. So the boat goes in the water and the truck doesn't. That's what we leave with.
Yeah, I think one thing we may have missed too, and I've had it happen, not personally, but I've seen it happen, the plug.
The
You
plug.
got to put your plug in.
You got to put your plug.
Yeah.
It's basic.
Yeah, yeah. That's
you know what?
It happens though.
It happens all the time.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
it happens all the time.
yeah.
And there was a story about, I'm not going to say who did this, guy who had a wooden boat,
Mm-hmm.
and he did some work on the deck on the inside, and he did the work while it was on the trailer. And then he got all done. He went to launch the boat and realized that he screwed the boat to the trailer.
Well, really?
Yeah.
Not
So
a
that
good
was a
one.
little. That's another good one, right?
Yeah, stuff can happen.
No, but the plug is very important. That'll be our last tip. We'll leave you with that. Make sure
Yeah,
you put the plug
because
in.
it happens.
Yeah,
you know?
and you know what? There is no warning system yet. The technology on boats is amazing,
Right.
but I
There's
don't
no
think there is a
plug
boat
warning.
out there with a plug warning system.
You know, I guess a good tip and repetition is what
Yeah.
makes me good. We've
Yep.
done it hundreds and hundreds of times. We haul our boat so frequently to change the oil. So
Mhm.
we're running 4 boats.
Right.
Every other week I'm pulling a boat out for some sort of maintenance.
Sure.
So I've gotten really good at the trailering aspect of it. But I think what makes me good at it is we never vary. I don't do something today that I
Yeah.
don't
Do it the
normally
same
do.
way, routine.
Right, do it the same way, repetition,
Mhm.
and it becomes engraved in your head. And like I said, then you don't forget things like the plug
Yeah.
or the safety hook. You don't
Yeah.
forget it because it's routine. It's part of it's the way it has to be done. So
Yeah.
if you can build up a routine like that, I think it's good for everybody.
Good point,
Yeah.
Captain Clint.
Yeah.
Thanks. Put
You're
in your
welcome.
plug.
The Drift Podcast can be found at driftsociably.com or where all fine podcasts are heard. Boat US has been looking after the interests of recreational boaters for over 55 years. Our goal? To make boating better, safer, and worry-free. From coast to coast and over 600 towboats strong, the Towboat US fleet is the nation's largest. So when you need help on the water, you're not alone. For a day of worry-free boating, take us with you by downloading the Boat US app to get a tow or check weather and tides. Better boating starts here. Join today.